I really hope my experience with Clive Cussler is like my experience with Jim Butcher, that the one book I've read so far is an outlier for how the rest of his writing really is. But let's talk about Clive Cussler's Valhalla Rising. Welcome to Matt Reviews Books, and I am Matt, and I am your host. And this is a book review channel dedicated mostly to older books. Sometimes I do some new books, do some reviews of things that haven't come out yet, but very, very rarely. It also is kind of other things besides books, technically, mostly publishing related, graphic novels, comics. If it's printed word on a piece of paper, I might well talk about it. Today, we're going to talk about Clive Cussler, Valhalla Rising. And Clive Cussler has definitely a following. He's written a lot of books, and he certainly pays his rent. I'm kind of curious how, though. It's one of those situations. I read the book, and I kind of went, I guess it's okay, but I wouldn't go buy a second one. That being said, I hope you let me know if this is some sort of outlier, because I don't get it. I don't. And honestly, I'm probably going to piss my son off because he loves Clive Cussler. I mean, that's okay. That is okay. This is no reflection on anybody who likes Clive Cussler. It's just I didn't feel the vibe. I didn't get it, really. So, with that, why don't we move on to synopsis? This is part of the Dirk Pitt series. Dirk Pitt is a marine engineer, an underwater adventurer, a kind of a scalawag. Not really a scalawag. But think Indiana Jones, but if he was underwater. And he goes and he finds sunken ships. So Dirk is on a marine research vessel. They're doing just a survey of a trench. And they get a distress call. They see a distress in a cruise ship. Thank you. In distress. It's on fire. So they go and they help out the people and they try and save as many people as they can. And while the actual rescue ships are on their way, in the meantime, they save. And then one of the characters, one of the passengers, she's got a briefcase from her dad, who's actually invented these cutting-edge engines that were on their maiden voyage in the cruise ship. You gonna follow me here? And some dude attacks her, tries to take the briefcase. This is the first part. This is the first part. They move on to the cruise ship is being towed for salvage to Australia, and then mysteriously it sinks. End of part 1. All right, part 2. Is Numa is hired to go check out the wreck of the cruise ship. They go down. Dirk Pitt, his friend Al Giordino, and another named character who's never seen again after this brief instance, they go down, they check out, and they say, hey, this was sabotage. The ship's been sunk by somebody nefarious. And then they come up to the surface, and their research ship is gone. So they're in this tiny little submersible, deep sea submersible that really has a range of, it's long, it has enough range to get to the bottom of the ocean, but you're not going to be sailing to Australia or. And then amazingly, out of the blue, like some Deus Ex Machina, who should come and save Dirk Pitt and Al Giordino and this marine biologist who's never seen again? Who should it be but Clive Cussler himself? Yes, Clive Cussler writes himself into his own novel as a savior of the hero. Like, he couldn't figure out how to get Dirk Pitt out of danger. Instead, he decides he wants to write himself in. And then, Dirk Pitt, who's a marine engineer, underwater, he and his friend Al go and they attack the secret base where the pirates have stolen the research vessel, and they free these guys. Like, he doesn't have secret, like, he has passed as a U.S. Air Force pilot. That doesn't mean he has special forces training, and he takes on these guys like he has special forces training. And he rescues the rest of the crew of the research vessel, and they sail off, and they kind of, wave goodbye to Clive Cussler, the character. And that's part 2. Part 3, they figure out who the bad guy is, finally, that has been doing all this nefarious things, and that they're going to commit this act of this act of terrorism in New York. They're going to blow it up with a propane tanker, a ship with tanks full of propane, and they're going to, huge tanker, they're going to blow it up in Manhattan. Dirk gets there in the nick of time with a submarine, I guess, and blows them up, sinks them safely, and kills the bad guys. Now, let's talk about my... This is okay. All right, first of all, I don't absolutely hate this book. It's okay. When Clive Cussler is in the pocket, as they say in football, when he's in the pocket, he writes really well. His narrative style flows. It's not overly flowery. It moves. It has a good rhythm to it. Right up into the point where he starts talking about the things that he personally loves. Like, let's say, old cars. There are passages where he just waxes poetic over V12 cylinders or 12-cylinder 1938 Packards and stuff like that. Yeah. And then it also kind of has for me, this moment of, when he talks about women, like, when you want to talk about male gaze, this is male gaze. The women are not just, they're not damsels waiting to be rescued, but certainly when they see Dirk Pitt, they're just like, like, really? Really? And the women in this book are just like, they might as well give them smelling salts sometimes. Jesus. So there's these moments where it clunks. He goes right along. He's like, hey, this is a good action, and then, wait a minute, we're gonna talk about we're gonna get off weird, and it's gonna tangent, like, one more thing. The title, so the title is Valhalla Rising. So you might think there's something related to Valhalla, which i.e. means maybe there's something about Vikings. There are no Vikings in the story. See that? Right there? There. This part. That's Vikings. That, right in the middle. No Vikings. There are no Vikings in the story. Why does he call it Valhalla Rising with a longship, a Viking longship on the front? Clive! Mr. Cussler! You could have cut the Viking thing out. The whole Viking connection would not have impacted the rest of the story whatsoever. What the hell? Come on, some editor didn't tell you, like, dude, what do the Vikings have anything to do with the rest of the story? It is so tangential to the rest of the story. Barely has anything to do with it. God. It's not terrible. It's passable. And if you're in the bookstore of an airport and you see a Clive Cussler, at least you see this one, this would be fine. This would be acceptable for you in a long flight. Flying to LA from New York, yeah, this would pass the time. Flying to London from New York, yeah, this would be fine. Don't waste your time if you're not a fan of Clive Cussler. I don't understand it. But hey, you know what? I said this exact same thing pretty much about Jim Butcher and the Harry Dresden novels. The first one I read sucked, I thought. And then I got a whole bunch of comments from viewers who said, yeah, that one sucks. Go read the other ones. And so I did, and I was wrong about Jim Butcher and the Harry Dresden novels. Please, somebody tell me that Clive Cussler gets better than this book. Please. With that, I think I will wrap it up here, and I will tell you, if you liked what you saw here, please go ahead and hit like down below, somewhere over here, and hit that subscribe button, follow along. Hit that notification bell if you want to know when I upload, which, honestly, to be honest, kind of erratic because I have to read the book first, and sometimes some books take me longer to read than others. And with that, I will bid you adieu, adios, bon voyage. I guess that's it, and I will see you next time.